6th day of Chodesh Adar, and we are, Baruch Hashem, up to Daf Kuf Yud Amud Beis in Maseches Pesachim. We are still talking about Zugos, and we left off a couple lines on the top of the page, where Rav Dimi min Harda had told us, 4 lines down from the top of the page, Rav Dimi min Harda copied, a few lines down. Yeah. The beginning of the line. In Eretz Yisrael, they were not makpid on zugos, and we pointed out that they were not makpid on zugos. Apparently, at some point in time, but there was an earlier point in time that they were makpid on zugos. Rav Dimi Narda copied afilu a rushma dechavita. Rav Dimi of Naharda was particular about zugos, even when it came to the markings on a barrel, meaning he would count how many barrels were sold, and he would mark them off. So to sell in pairs was the problem. He would make sure that they were not even numbers. Says the Gemara, "Have uvda upaka chavisa," and it once happened that a barrel exploded. Because Rav Dimi was makpid. The Rashi here points out that it shouldn't be left that he only had an even quantity, and it once happened that he was left with an even quantity, and one of them burst, one of them exploded. Klala de Milsa says the Gemara, an important klal, and we'll come back to this klal at the end of the Amud as well. Klala de Milsa, the klal is called the kapid. Anybody that is makpid about zugos, kapti bahadei. The mazikin are makpid with you as well, meaning it only affects you as much as you think it affects you, as much as you care about it, as much as you indicate that it does. With the loy kapid, and if you don't care about it, loy kapti ba'adei, then the mazik can leave you alone. It means it's completely in your control. Umiu, nevertheless, lemechash mibai. We do still act with a level of concern. We're not flippant about it. We don't drive ourselves crazy about it, but we are not flippant about it. What exactly is the line between how much to care and how much not to care? So the Rashbam here points out, kol de kapid means yosimidai. Anybody that is too concerned about it. Kapte ba'adei hashedim. The demons will bother you about it. Lehezeku to bother you. Udeloy kapid kol kach loy kapte ba'adei. And if you don't bother them, they don't bother you. Lehezeku to do damage to mihu. Nevertheless, lemechash mibai. We should still be concerned. I feel mandeloy kapid, even somebody that doesn't care about it. The loy kapdin ba'adei, the item loy kapte ba'adei klal im ken zugas lam nizkar b'gemara kol kach. So, and if you're going to say that they didn't care, that we shouldn't care about it at all, then why did the Gemara tell us that we should care about it? So says the Rashbam, the Chacham should have said, don't care about it. You shouldn't care. So as not to be concerned at all. So it says the Rashbam, apparently this is a concern. How much of a concern? Not much of a concern. You should be aware of it in some way, but not to drive yourself crazy. Says the Gemara, Ki Asar Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi arrived from Eretz Yisrael, and it seems to be in Eretz Yisrael where they were not makbid about this, Amar, he said, Shtei beitzim, ushtei gotzim, ushtei kishui. With regards to eating 2 eggs, 2 nuts, and 2 cucumbers, 2 kishuim, v'davar acher, and one other thing, halacha l'meshim misina. This we have as an ancient tradition to Moshe Rabbeinu that we should care about these things. Now, the Eretz Yisrael deals with, was this just a phrase, halacha l'meshim misina, that's an ancient tradition, or it actually went back to Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai, that eating 2 of these things is fundamentally a danger for a person to eat. It's a sakana that you shouldn't eat this because it makes you susceptible to shadim and to witchcraft. So that's a interesting and important discussion. Nevertheless, what we have here is eggs, nuts, and cucumbers, and one other thing. What's the one other thing? We don't know. The Rabbanan were nervous. They were in doubt. What is this other thing? And therefore the Rabbanan said, don't have anything in pairs because maybe that other thing is the thing that we're not supposed to be eating in pairs. Hada Amran, and that which we said, Asara, Tamanya, Shisa, Arba, in Behem Mishum Zugi, and that which we said yesterday, that 10 you don't have to be worried about, and 8 you don't have to worry about, and 6 and 4 you don't have to be worried about all of these Zugin. Loi Amru, They only said this with regards to the shadim, with regards to the damaging spirits. But when it comes to witchcraft, we are concerned even with much more than that. Meaning, we're concerned not just with 2, but with 4 and 6 and 8 and 10 and you'll see in a moment 16. That we should be concerned. Meaning, the shadim might leave you alone. But people that are intentionally trying to cause you damage, they will be able to cause harm, even with the psukim that are going to protect us with the Birkas Kohanim and all of the numbers that we've calculated. Says the Gemara, Kihahu Gavra, like the story of that particular individual, the Dirshu who divorced his wife. And she went and she married the shopkeeper, and and every day her first husband would go and he would drink his wine, and she would do witchcraft on him, meaning she would try to curse him out, and it never worked. Never worked. She was never able to accomplish anything by trying to curse him, to try to do witchcraft on him. Because he was very careful not to do anything with in pairs. He didn't have any zugin. Once it happened that he drank a lot, and he didn't know how much he drank. Until 16 cups. It had 16 cups. He was clear-minded, high tolerance. He had 16 cups of wine, and he was still holding himself. He was and he was very careful not to have 16, not to have even numbers. Thereafter, he wasn't so clear-headed. He got drunk, and he was not careful about how many cups he was drinking. And he came out that by the end he had drunk a pair. He had ended on an even number. And when he was walking along, there was a certain Arab that saw him. Amarla, he said to him, there's a dead man walking here, meaning you look like you're in trouble. And he went and he hugged a palm tree, meaning he was drunk. He's holding onto a palm tree. The palm tree withered, and he exploded. Meaning all of the witchcraft happened, or alternatively, depending on the Rishonim, the palm tree exploded. But either way, he died as a result of this. As a result of this story, Amar Rav Avira said, Rav Avira, Karus v'kikaros ein b'hem mishum zugos. Rav Avira said that you don't have to be worried about eating 2 plates of something or 2 loaves of something, meaning it's only eating 2 items, but eating 2 plates or 2 breads, that you don't have to be worried about. The rule is, what's the difference between a plate of food, meaning a cooked food, and a loaf of bread? Anything that is finished in the hands of man, meaning that people finish, there is no zugos there. But if it was finished in the hands of heaven, any of these kinds of foods, we are concerned. So the Rishonim here deal with the question, well, what about wine? So maybe wine is different, or maybe even though wine is made by human hands, it is aged then, meaning what makes it amazing wine is the time that is spent afterwards. You're not involved in that process, meaning once you make it, you put it in a barrel and then off it goes. So it is finished b'dei shemayim. It is not in human control, and therefore it is susceptible to zugos. Says the Gemara as follows: Chanus, if with regards to a shop, there's no concern of zugos. There's 2 ways of understanding this in Rishonim. Either this means that if you're standing in the shop, you're not at home, but you're just tasting things in the shop, you can try a shot of this one and a shot of that one. That's not going to be a problem. Or alternatively, you don't have to be concerned about having one in one shop and one in another shop. Meaning zugos are not problems in shops, either in the same shop or in multiple shops. Nimlach, if he changed his mind, and if you change your mind, you thought that you were done drinking, you had one, and then you're like, you know what, I'll have another one. That's also not a concern of zugos, because in between you decided you weren't having more. With regards to a guest, a guest, there's no concern of zugos, because he doesn't know how many cups of whatever he's going to be drinking. So he drinks one, and he doesn't know if he's getting another one. He never plans on having more. He doesn't know. Isha ein ba mishum zugos, and women as well are not. There's no concern of zugos. likewise, because she doesn't know how much wine she's going to be getting. V'isha chashuva, and if she's a chashuva woman, chayshin, and then we are concerned about this. Why? Because if she's a chashuva woman, then she can pour herself. And we pointed out when we were speaking about doing haseba that we passed on today that all women are nashim chashuvas today, because our women today, Baruch Hashem, are emancipated. They're not waiting for their husband's permission to be able to relax at the table, to be able to recline, or to go and get a drink. Amar Rav China Berei Rabbi Yeshua, says China, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, is pargus. Ispargus was some kind of wine mixture with beets. Sounds like asparagus. Maybe it's some relation to asparagus. Some beets related drink that was a wine drink, but that was used, the Gemara Baruch says, as a remedy. Was a healthy thing to drink. This helps only for good, meaning it adds. If you had one and you had ispargus, then you have not had two. That's not zugos. And if you had, had two cups of wine and you have ispargus, then it is three. Meaning it only helps you; it doesn't hurt you. Mistarf l'tuva and mistarf l'ra. Amar Ravina says, "Mishmei the Rav in the name of Rabba zugi lechumre v'amira zugi lekula." They said in the name of Ravina. Ravina said in the name of Rabba. Sorry, that. There's a machlokus on how to understand him. Do we paskin zugi lechumra or zugi lekula? What happens if you're not sure how many you had? Did I have an even number or an odd number? So it's only one of the two. So what do you do now? So some said that you should drink another one, because zugi lechumra, you should have an extra one. Make sure that you have an extra cup of wine. And some say zugi lekula, that if you're not sure how many you've had, then you should not have another one. How do you understand this? So zugi lechumra means that let's say that you had two, so now you're going to have another one that would make three. That's good. But what if you had three, and now you're going to have four? So then the interruption would be helpful to you, because now that you decided you weren't going to have another one, now you decide you are going to have another one. It would be 3 and 1, and it's not going to make 4. So that's zugi lechumra. What about zugi lekula? Let's say you're not sure how many cups of wine you had, and you're going to say zugi lekula. I'm not going to have another one. So I'm not going to have another one. That's fine if you had an odd number. But what if you had an even number? So if you had an even number and now you're going to say zugi lekula, it means that I'm not chayish. It means that I don't care about zugin, and therefore if I don't care about them, I'm not makbid on them, then the demons aren't going to be makbid on me either. So there are two ways of understanding. Should you have another one or not have another one? Either way, the kavanah is that you don't have to be concerned about it. Amar Rav Yosef said, "Trade the chamre, 2 cups of wine, v'chad the shichra, and 1 cup of beer, lo mitzarif. Those are not going to combine." Oh, hold on 1 second. Lo mitzarif. Those do not combine. Trade the shichra, 2 cups of beer, v'chad the chamra, and 1 cup of wine, mitzarif. Those do combine, meaning are they going to make zugas? V'simanich, and the siman to remember this by is the same as the halachas of Tumah and Tara, which is with regards to Tumah and Tara, there has to be a minimum shear of something in order to make it susceptible to Tumah. So whatever the material is, whatever you're talking about, if you have something that's more susceptible to Tumah that joins onto it, then it would make it more susceptible to Tumah. And if it is less, then it's going to be less susceptible to Tumah. So meaning that it's still not going to be. So if you have 2 cups of beer, so, and then you upgrade that with a cup of wine, so now you can fix that. Or if you have 1 cup of beer and 1 cup of wine, now you are in trouble with zugos. But if you're going down in a level of importance, then then it's going to be tarred, and then you wouldn't be able to be susceptible to zugos. The same klal. It has to do with chashivos. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav. Says Rav Nachman in the name of Rav, Trey kama taka, if you drink 2 cups at the table, meaning kama taka by the table, before the meal, v'chad ataka, and 1 at the meal, those do join together, meaning 2 cups at the shmok and 1 cup seated at the wedding, those do join together. Chad mikame taka, utrei ataka lo misafin. But the one that you drank at the shmunk and the 2 that you drink at the meal, those do not combine, and now you have a problem with zugos. Maskiv law Rav Mashashia says, hold up a second. Wait, hold on a second. We need to care about the table. This isn't about the table. Nobody cares about the table. It's got to do with fixing up the person. We have to help him. And if he's had 3 cups, he's had 3 cups. Who cares about where you have the 3 cups? Says the Gemara, the Kule Alma, says Rav Mashashia, what's the correct thing to say here? The Kule Alma Trei Ataka, V'chad Lebas Ataka, Lo Misav. Everybody agrees that if you drink 2 Trei Ataka, that 2 cups at the table, V'chad Lebas Ataka, and 1 cup after, meaning after the meal, lo mitzaref, that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you, and because that's the correct way to understand this. If you're doing 2 at the table, and then later you have another one, you're going to be in trouble. How the Rabbi Bar Nachmani, and this is the story of Rabbi Bar Nachmani in Baba Metzia on Peivav, where Rabbi Bar Nachmani he had drunk 2 cups, and then they took away the table, and he told them, "Bring back my table and drink with it." So just have a drink when he's not at the table. When the table's not with him, that would be a problem. That would be a problem of zugos. So he had the whole table brought back. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, and we'll leave it at Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel at the moment. Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with that at the bottom of Kuf Yud Amud Beis tomorrow. Hoping everybody has a wonderful day. Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach. We'll be zeicher to save ourselves from zugos and all things of that nature. At some point, we should probably do a more holistic share on understanding what all of this is about. But we will get there.